Hi, my name is Adesh Kala. I recently interviewed for Endurance International Group and today I would like to share my experience. So, Endurance International Group has 4 rounds for selection. The first round is the technical MCQ round, the second is the coding round, the third is the technical interviews, and the final is the HR round. So, the technical MCQ round is something like JEE Main. We have close to 20-30 questions with 5 options for each. With negative marking for each wrong answer. The questions basically were OS, networking, DBMS, data structures and algorithms. So even with simple knowledge of these rounds can help you glide through this. As for preparation, even if you study 2 or 3 days before the interview properly, you can easily clear this round. But the key to this round is don't make negative marks, because that tends to put your score down. And that's all in this round. After this, close to 150 students appeared of the first round and they shortlisted it to 30 for the coding round. In the coding round, we had a simple problem of simulating a calculator. Let's say the input is 2 plus 3, then you're supposed to print 5. Similarly, as the questions increased, the difficulty increased. Like we had to do operations like multiplication and division using BODMAS. Then we had brackets and square roots. So it was a question basic use of stacks and everything. My tip for this round is explain what you're thinking, even if you're not able to code what you intend to do, but make sure that you get your point across to the interviewers that what you really want to do. That's what they matter the most. Besides that, if you can complete all the questions, that's good enough to clear this round very easily. So after this coding round, which lasted about 2 hours, we were invited for the technical interviews. There were close to 12 students for this round and they interviewed one by one. They basically had 2 profiles which they had come for, software development and operations. So based on your resume or your choice, they used to forward you to the respective panel. So I was forwarded to the software development panel. When I entered for the interview, they started asking me how was the previous rounds and how was the experience and are you feeling tired or not. So they just wanted to get me convenient with talking with them. So after that, they asked me, why did you code the particular problem in Ruby? I use Ruby as a language of my choice. So I told them that recently in my internship I coded in Ruby, so I thought that I would be more comfortable. But I said that I made a mistake. I could have used C++ as I'm much more comfortable in it. So they were like, okay, it's good. You were not that bad in Ruby either. After that, they started asking me questions based on my resume. They initially asked me what's the easiest project you have worked on, what's the most interesting project you have worked on. So I mentioned the online judge. I actually developed an course chef-like system during Sparsh, so for the contest. So they went about asking me that why did you make it specifically, why not make it online? So I explained them that there are no online tools available which can simulate what I wanted to do. So I explained them how my judge worked entirely. So they were quite impressed with the project, as it was something which was solving a real life problem for us. Then they started questioning me basic questions like why do people develop Android in Java, not in C++? How important is developer community? So these are basic personality type questions which they asked me. After that, they started looking at my other project, which was DDoS mitigation. They asked me a bit about DDoS, like what DDoS is, what are the basics. So as in my project, I had worked on application-led DDoS attacks. That's the OSI level 7. So they started questioning me on OSI level 3. They asking me out of the scope of my project. They started asking me that if suppose we had to make a specific filter without using machine learning for clearing out the malicious users, how would you go about doing it? So I replied that let's suppose I have a website, a Hindu mythology website, and I am receiving tremendous amount of traffic from China and Brazil. This clearly shows that something is going wrong. Like people from those areas don't really visit the Hindu mythology websites. So in this way I can filter them out. So these were the kind of answers. They basically wanted to test how I think for the new problem. Not many theoretical questions were asked for me. They basically were testing my applications, as in how wide and broad I was thinking with any problem which was given to me. All in all, the quality of questions was very, very good, as in compared to the previous interviews I have given for internships in Microsoft and others. The level of interview is very, very good, and these questions really tested how well you know topics and how well you can apply your brain. So after this, after these basic questions, they started asking me questions on load balancing. Uh, they gave me an example, like suppose you have your online judge and you're putting it in production. Suppose now a lot of requests are coming in. How would you go about balancing the load? So these basic questions were on how you manage sessions, having a centralized database, and all such simple logic-based questions. So my tip is, if you do your project thoroughly and honestly, I think you can easily answer these questions. Plus, for the DDoS questions on DDoS, it's very important that while doing any project, you study in depth, as in they won't really ask you everything what you have done. They can also ask you and what new feature can be added. So make sure that you have a good background knowledge of what anything is. Like suppose you're making a website or any other project you're doing. Suppose you're doing machine learning and you are working on a neural network. So you should basically know how everything particularly works in depth, like what all goes behind. Just using a formula and a predefined library is not good enough. You should have good in-depth knowledge of how it's working. So this was my first technical round. It lasted about 50 minutes, and after this I was asked to wait outside, and for about 1 hour later I was invited for my second technical interview. So at the start of the interview, he started asking me questions and what all was discussed in the previous rounds and how was the experience till now. If you have any doubts you want to ask. Then he started asking me as the difference between APIs, as in what are APIs and how would you go about differing an API made for mobile and API for website. So these are very basic questions on basic knowledge questions. APIs is something you should all know. After this, as I did a project on internet security, he started asking me about SQL injection attacks. So to be completely honest with you, I had no idea what it was. So he asked me that how do you go about preventing SQL injection attacks. So I told him that whatever I knew is in PHP is something you use, the function to stop SQL attacks, injection attacks. So he started asking me how do you make that function. So I gave some examples which regex using regular expressions to strike out the certain keywords. So he was quite satisfied with it. So one thing which I took away from this question is, if you're not 100% clear on what the solution is, ask for hints, ask for help. Like I asked for a hint and how actually do you do SQL injection. So with that hint, I got a good idea on how to go about this question, and using regular expressions, I gave the solution. After this, he started questioning me on OS concepts. There's a famous producer-consumer problem. So he gave a variation of that, as in we have a lot of producers and we have one consumer. Let's suppose a bank. A bank has a cashier on top and a lot of people are standing in a queue. Those are the producers, and the cashier who's taking the receipt is the consumer. Suppose we have to give priority to some certain person and some certain person in the queue. How do you go about doing it? So I gave a lot of solutions. Initially I started with multi-level queues, but he was not satisfied with it. He wanted me to think more. So after that, after some 15-20 minutes, we kept discussing this, and I finally gave the solution using min heaps, multi-level min heaps. So he thought about it and he said it's okay. After this question, I actually asked him, like, what is the perfect solution for this? So he told me that there's no perfect solution. We just wanted to test how wide and broad you can think. So this is what entirely the one tip which I want to give is, always try to broaden the horizon of thinking. Think multiple solutions about how the problem can be solved, because at times the problem are such that there is no particular right solution. Every solution has its ups and downs, like multi-level priority queues which are suggested below may have time complexities, while min heaps have other problems with them. So this is the solution I gave. After that, he asked me a question on OS question, as in how to implement Lru caching. So I suggested a solution using hash based and doubly linked list. So he was okay with it. And there were one or two more questions, basic questions asked about my internships which I had done, as in what was the work you did in the internships, what does the company do, and other basic questions. So this interview also lasted about 50 minutes, and after this I asked my review. He told me the same thing, that the interviews were good, but you should always think of more variations, as in more and more ways to solve a particular problem. So, this could really help you in life. So that's how my second interview ended. After this, around 1 hour, while the other interviews of other candidates got over, I was invited for HR interview. The HR interview was over phone, and in the HR interview, very basic questions were asked, as in what does the father do, what does the mother do, what are hobbies. So I mentioned, you have to be honest in an HR interview, so I told them that I watch football, and I'm a big fan of a certain team, football team. So they were like, okay, good. And they asked me questions on how is your opinion on moving to a new city, are you okay with it? So I mentioned that I've shifted a lot of schools till now, so I'm completely okay with shifting to new cities and new places. And if the location is Mumbai, I've lived in Mumbai for 9 years, so it won't be a problem for me. So she was satisfied with this interview, and that's how my HR interview ended. It was hardly 5 to 10 minutes. So after this, my interview process was over and the result was declared. So that is my interview experience. Finally, I would again like to repeat, whenever you're sitting for interviews, have a good thorough knowledge of your projects. That's something which is very, very important. Besides that, having good strengths over your core subjects, as in computer networking, OS, DBMS, data structures algorithm is good. This is usually more than enough for cracking most of the interviews. Apart from this, try to think broad and wide. For any given problem, try to think all the variations, all the possible and worst test cases that can happen, and try to give a solution which covers all of them up. And that's all. All the best. Thank you.